A report by digital tech company Gen Digital revealed that more than 1 in 5 Aussies have fallen victim to online dating scams, with 6 in 10 of those victims suffering from financial loss that averages around $225. Well, it seems Australians aren't doing enough to avoid online dating scams, with a small number taking precautions to protect themselves, using screen names, sharing locations with friends and family when meeting up with someone that they only just met online, and unmatching when spotting signs of indicative that they're a scammer. Well, join us to discuss how to recognise online dating scams and beat the scammers is Gen Digital's Dean Williams. Welcome, Dean.
Thank you for having me.
Now, online dating scams, they seem like they've been around for a long time, and those of us that haven't fallen prey to them seem to think that, gee, it would never happen to me, but it's happening a lot.
Yeah, it certainly is. Scammers basically will use any area, any topic, or any element to trick us in to, becoming a victim of identity theft. And so in this case, especially this time of the year around Valentine's Day, this is a prime opportunity for scammers to target online daters looking for romance.
What are the age groups that are being scammed here, Dean? Is it young ones, old ones, middle ones, or is it right across the spectrum?
Look, it's across the spectrum. So out of those adults, the 22% of adults surveyed that said that they were victims to online dating scams. We did find an alarming trend with Gen Z and millennial, because another part of the survey actually went through and found that 31% of those Gen Z and millennials had no problem with being stalked online as long as it didn't happen in person.
Wow, it's frightening. Now, how are the scammers scamming Aussies? And what are we Aussies doing that are allowing us to be scammed?
Look, we found there's 3 major techniques. One is they don't need to be a computer science and know how to compromise a computer to do so. It's called catfishing. They're assuming someone else's identity, stealing photos, names, and everything else that can appear attractive, and luring the suspecting victim in. After that, we found that we also detected malware and spyware scams. So this was in an attempt to trick the victim to allow malicious software onto their device, and then from there it was a matter of extracting personal information to then try and harvest money at the end of it.
Why is it, do you think, that Australians aren't more aware and more protective of these sort of scams? Because it seems like they're in the news all of the time. Is it because we're dismissive, thinking, it would never happen to me, I'm smarter than that, they must just be gullible?
Yeah, that is definitely, there's more to it, but that we can start with that. Yeah, the old adage that it's never going to happen to me. One should take a step back and really think that when we look at scams and identity theft, in some ways you've got to say, if you don't take the right precautions, it's a matter of when, not if. And we think about how much personal information of us is already out there. A lot of this personal information can help a cyber criminal or a scammer build framework of yourself and begin these things like catfishing or social engineering.
Yeah. How much is Australia actually losing annually?
Well, the numbers do vary, but in this particular survey, online dating scams, it was above $200 per victim.
What's the bigger problem here, romance or financial scams, the old Nigerian lottery, or is it the Nigerian prince that desperately fallen in love with you?
I think they're almost one of the same, right? So with phishing and scams and social engineering, ultimately the end game is to get to the financial, steal money. So online dating scam versus the Nigerian prince, they're just 2 different avenues for the scammers to try and trick us.
Dan, are we in that perfect storm at the moment where we've normalized online relationships and connection at a little bit of a giving up on the personal connection, where we go, right, well, I'm still online speaking to the same guys from high school or girls from high school, so we're still connected. Is it because our online connection is now starting to replace that in-person one that enables this to happen more frequently?
Yeah, it is, because on the friendship and family side of things, we've got social media, and that's a platform for us to share our lives with the people we know. We're taking that approach and applying it in online dating, and we're being too revealing from the get-go. Full names, on a profile, too many personal photos with extensive information. We need to treat the two very different. We need to be we need to preserve that personal information and be wary, because you're connecting with someone you haven't met yet. It's very different to social media. You're connecting with people from school, from university, family on the other side of the world. It's two very different ways to connect. We can't, paint them with the same brush.
Mm. What steps do we need the tech providers to take here? Do they need to be more accountable? Do they need to, we know how targeted they can be. You click on one ad for a left-handed gumboot, next minute you're bombarded with a left-handed gumboot. Do they need to be more accountable for stopping some of this?
Well, I think they honestly, with online dating apps, the reputable ones, they are doing as much as they can. And one thing is, that's why you need to stick to these reputable brands, because they've got in-chat capabilities where you can monitor the chat and block and report abusive or, intrusive individuals, right? But we can't just rely on the platform to keep us safe. We have to have what we call digital hygiene. So everything we do online, we have to start with limit the personal information you share online, use comprehensive security solution, right? That's gonna help protect you outside of online dating scams when it comes to those phishing text messages and emails and those scam text messages we're getting as well, like that, right? So we can't rely on third parties to keep us safe. We've got to apply proper digital hygiene as well and take the matters into our own hands.
I suppose it's a difference between expecting the police to keep us safe and going to the trouble of locking our own doors.
Yeah, it is. And in this case, right, with scams, you've got to remember how they're successful is they're luring us in with something that's too good to be true. So for us, it can be wrong time, wrong place. For the scammer, it's right time, right place, right? Scam us around tax time. It's got to do with something to do with tax. October, November, you'll see an influx of scams, around online shopping and Christmas shopping and deliveries, right? So it's the end game for the scammer is to try and identity theft and steal money. It's just these different avenues. And yeah, we need to take the right steps.
Are there certain countries that these scams emanate more from? Are any of them state-sponsored, or are they just criminal groups working together, or individuals?
No, look, that's a good question. I don't have intel on that, but the scams themselves can disappear as quickly as they appear. That's why at Norton, we spend a lot of time building that technology to help protect the customers from those scams coming through via text message, email, or through your web browser. That's the best that we can do. First front line of defense, let's say.
Yeah, well, my radar is pretty good, Dean. If I get an interested female, I know it's too good to be true, so they're blocked. So, all right, Dean Williams from Gen Digital, thanks so much for your time and great information.
Thanks for having me. Ciao.